Hi there, it's Elaine here and welcome back to my channel, Chattylaine Creates, and this is going to be part 4 of my how to get started in collage. This will be the final part. This one is just purely me creating a collage, how I build it, what type of collage I'm going to use, using some of the tips and tricks and things that we've gone through all the previous videos. I will link all the previous videos below. Obviously this one is going to be purely creating a collage using all of these things. So I am going to use this altered book that I got from the lovely Maud Hempstra here on YouTube. Her shop is on Instagram. I believe it is actually shut at the moment. On Instagram she's Maud Hempstra. Now originally I made this book a glue book or glue collage book. My glue books vary on whether they're really gluing and just sticking stuff in, or whether they're still slightly collagey. And I started doing Glue Book January, and Glue Book January had prompts for each day of January. Now the person who does Glue Book January is, what's her name, Caged Fish on YouTube. Oh, I can't think of her first name now. That begins with K as well. She has a birthday in January, so she often does a Glue Book January every year. Now this year she decided she was going to do prompts for each day, and so I wrote down all the prompts. I wrote them all out on tags, and I've done about, I don't know, 5 or 6 maybe, various ones. I didn't do it every day of January. I just did it as and when I felt like it. So I started with day 1, partly because it had red on it. I think the bottom prompt was red. There's an eye, newspaper. This is Thai newspaper. Number 1, a bird, washi tape, which I tend to put down the middle just to help stabilise the book spine, and a stamped image, which is over here. Then I added a little bit of vellum here and some various bits of washi tapes as well. So this book, I pulled pages out, and so they end up being a tiny bit wobbly because you've removed pages. And I got a few done, but I'm not very good at prompts. I just don't enjoy them. Put that back in, and so I'm now going to just use the book as a collage book, collage glue book, whatever I want to do in it. The pages are quite thick, so I haven't had to stick them together, but you can do that. If you've got thinner pages, just glue 2 pages together. It also helps, say for instance like this one it's a stitched book, and they get a little bit loose once you start taking the pages out, so you could stick 2 together, and that helps sort of glue the book down a bit more, and the washi tape helps too. So I am going to use this book today, and we are going to use some tips, and we're going to use some jump starts, and we will get cracking on the final part of the series. So today we're going to do a vintage type of collage, and I've used vintage ephemera on this particular page. Now I get some vintage ephemera from Corey here in the UK. She's Coco's Cornucopia on Instagram, and she has a shop, and the Coco's Cornucopia is the shop. Her own channel is Crafty Coco. This, I just recently had an order from her, and this was wrapped around what I'd bought. This is a ticket that I got in that particular order, and this was from her. She puts little bits and pieces in the orders, and I just attached it with a brad to the page. So I just popped a hole in through the paper, and I popped this in, and she's collaged this one herself, and I thought that was quite good. It seemed to go with the page quite nicely, so I added the orange to complement it, and we will carry on. So I decided to cover the whole page on this one, and I thought we would add some more pieces to it. Now I've put some in the back. Orange, 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 lots of orange. So as you can see, we've got a little bit of an autumn theme going on, as it is still autumn at the moment. So I just popped them in the back in a little pocket, and I thought, well, we can audition those to see. I haven't cut that one out because I don't know whether I'm going to use it, but it goes quite nicely. And the colour orange, and this kind of, well, it's aged, obviously vintage paper, and with the craft, this is a ticket, I think. She's done it on a ticket as the background, and she's got half a seal and obviously stamp and a little bit of matte paper, and I thought it was really nice because I like this. And so these are some of the colours that I can pick out, and there's a little bit of green in the map, obviously, there quite often is. There's a little touch of red, reddy pink in the map, and this kind of, it's kind of pinky creamy colour. I don't know really what you call it. So I'd already decided on that, so I stuck it all down, and then we can work from there. You've already got your starting point, you covered the background, so what to add to it. And as I say, this has got an orange flower, so you're actually now introducing the green, and so we could also add green, or we could stick with an orange theme. It'll look different if it's cut out, or we could go with a greeny background, which I'm not that keen on. This one looks a bit more autumnal still, but it's introducing a new colour now, and that's pink, and so it kind of doesn't really go that well, so I think we'll give that one a miss. I did like this one. It's got the autumn leaves on, which I thought was really nice. I hope you're not getting any glare, because I am. And we could put the flower over this side if we wanted to, or we could go with this one. I shall probably cut that off. I thought it looked quite nice over here, but again, that's rather pinky, isn't it? I think I like these ones actually, because they are really orange, but they've got a slight green tinge still to them. So I think really we're going to introduce some green to this page. And oh yes, this was the other thing. I love this. This was I cut it off something else. I don't know what it was. I was doing something, and I mean that one quite goes in there quite nicely, but I will have to chop the top off it. Let's just fold that over a minute. I quite like it going down this edge of the paper here, but I don't know, I think I like that one more. I'm going to fussy cut this out it was that there might have been some more. A lot of the orange ones that I found were too big, and I just want to see what this looks like on the page, and then we'll find some other things to go hunting for. But I do like that one. So I think I have to, I mean, with the ladies here, I don't really want to be chopping her head off. And I don't particularly want to see just her body either. Those are the things that I kind of consider when I'm putting things down. It's really, really brittle, this paper, and it just kept breaking every time I tried to put it down. I was actually trying to get it right in the crease, but it just crumbled up. The whole lot just was crumbling up as I did it. So I just put it down as best I could. Right, I'm going to go off and fussy cut this, and I'll be back. Right, so it's fussy cut out. I've kept some of the cream border. The thing is with keeping the border, you haven't got to go into these really tiny pieces because you're highlighting the whole outside area. Actually, I've just noticed I've missed a bit in there, just in there a little bit, because it looks a bit squared off. And I think there's a little tiny bit left in here too. I knew I'd missed a bit. I forgot to do it. Just take that out. I did cut out that section in the middle, and that bit there is a little bit thick still. So get them off. And we haven't found a place for it yet. We can do two things with this one. We can either have it this way and she pokes out the side there, or we cover her up completely, but then there's not really much here. I kind of like that, but the thing is, I did break it here, so you can actually see that join. Don't particularly want to do half, but we'll decide that one. So I've got out my bird book. I'm just going to move this over a little bit, and so you can still see a bit of the page, but I want to show you. I've highlighted some pages of birds that I am considering. I think what I'll do is, if I have the bird book in the middle, and what I'll have to do is just shut them so I don't stab myself on them. Right. So I'm looking at the sparrowhawk, and he has a sort of slightly orangey brown chest, which goes quite nicely on the page. I'm going to tuck that under there for a minute so I don't lose it. So you can see where he's got a brown edge to him. We've introduced a very dark green here, so I need to take that into account when I'm looking through the book. So I do like him, and he's already standing on a nice lump of tree, or whatever is left of it, a stump. So I'll go through each one and we'll whittle it down to why I've either rejected it or it's a possibility. Now the only trouble is with this book is there's birds on both sides, and so for instance that's the honey buzzard. I'm not particularly bothered about it, so we can use him no problem. He's absolutely fantastic. I do love birds of prey, I have to say. The kestrel's lovely, but it's not what I'm looking at. I was looking at the lesser kestrel because he's got an orangey looking body. But I'm now going to be starting introducing another colour with the grey, and I'm not quite sure if I want to do that at the moment. So he's a possibility, but I think actually I do have ones that I prefer along the way. He's got an orange head, browny bits, but again it looks fairly greyish, and I don't know whether I want to introduce that colour at this time. Then we've got the owlies, which are obviously brown. He's lovely. He's the tawny owl, and there's a small and a big version of the owl. One's an adult male, and they're obviously, the thing is with the bird books, obviously you do get these lines because they're pinpointing out things to look for people that are hunting them out and trying to identify them. So this one's the little owl, yeah, and he's mainly browns, so he's very cute. I like him. So the brown ones aren't introducing a new colour, but obviously some of the birds, I'm looking at the what's orangey to go with my page. But you see, he's now introducing blue, and in some ways it clashes with the green. They're not the right thing. As much as he's wonderful, and obviously this is the female, she's not quite so vibrant, but she's also not very big, and I wanted something a little bit bigger so that it helps fill the page. I kind of didn't use him because he's more yellowy. As much as he's absolutely gorgeous, he doesn't really fit the page at all. And the roller, obviously that's blue. I liked him, but he wasn't one I was picking out. Right, now again, he's only got a little tiny bit of orange, but this blue's gorgeous, and I just don't want to introduce that colour with the green flower, leaves of the flower. Hang on, I think I've got a robin or something. This one, is it? Is it a robin? Yeah. See, now robin's brown, and so he doesn't, and they call him red, but he is a very orangey red, and he does fit on the page quite nicely, really. So he's a good possibility, and he's actually got green foliage under him, so we can take the whole thing, you know, including some of this foliage, because he'll fit with what we've got. So he's a good possibility. So we're gonna, let's get a pen out a minute. Where's my pen? So we'll put a little star on him so we know where to find him when we're looking through the book, because I kind of don't want to lose some of the pages that I've marked, because I might want to use them for another project. So far we've got the first one, which is the sparrowhawk. He fits quite nicely. I'll do it on that side so you can see it from the front of the book. I love this book. RSPB is the Royal Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Birds, or something like that, I think it's called. So we'll do the owlie because we like him, and the other ones are a little bit more grey, so I didn't choose them. So little owl, we'll mark him. So redwing, he's brown as well, and he would go quite nicely. I think the brown and the green complement each other, so we can go with that really, and so he's quite a good possibility. So we'll put a little mark on him. And then what I'll do is cut those ones out, and we'll see how they sit. So we got, I think that's nearly it. So he's quite nice, isn't he? He's very colourful. He's a brambling. I quite like him. He's sort of orangey reds, and this is sort of yellowier. But I quite like that, because if you put that against that, it goes quite nicely, doesn't he? And this is how I find, you know, I sort of find what I want to go together. I think what we'll do is I will take out the ones that I like. I think what I'm going to do is tear the page out, because I can also fussy cut them, but I don't have to do them now. I can just cut him out. Right, so we'll put the book away. What I'll do is I'll cut these out and see which one we're going to go with. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to choose from. I'll go and cut them out and we will see which one we want to use. I'll be right back. I have just roughly cut them out and I've already rejected these 3. Now the reason I've rejected them is, one, they don't really go on the page very well. I suppose I should, I mean obviously I'm trying to, let me just take out a little bit more of the actual white, because we don't want the white anyway. And the thing is with birds, you can either leave the border on, or they have got a very definite line, especially when they're sitting like this. Their feathers are down, so they're not all fluffed up, and you've not got any fluffy bits that you're going to end up cutting off when you kind of do it right to the bird. So there's 2 ways you can do the birds. You can cut them out completely where there is no white border at all, or if for instance you actually want to keep the border, you know, you can do it really quite cropped and it's a really good line to follow because they are definite shapes. So these are the 3 that I'm thinking of, and these are the 3 I'm rejecting. Now the reasons are, this particular log, I don't like the end cut off it. I don't want to put him on the edge of the page and it won't go anyway. So I've rejected him for that reason. This one has got a bit of blue in the bottom, and again I don't want to introduce the blue. And Mr. Robin, I'm trying not to use robins as much as possible because I just love them, and everything could have a robin in it if I used birds. But I do love owls as well. So the owls are my biggest ones of what I'd like to use here. Now this one I'm in an R in. I don't know whether he goes as well as the owls do. As much as I like him and he suits the page lovely, the flowers don't go around him very well, and he doesn't fill quite the space up like the owls do. Look at that. He fills, he's got more of the space. I can put the flowers sort of however I like. If I really wanted to, I could put the flowers over here, and you know, that sort of making you know, a different look to it. So I like them in both places, and he's much the same. He's filling up the space quite nicely. Let me just get rid of some of that white. There's quite a lot of white still left on him. I think I probably will cut all of the white off because I actually don't want it, because this being a vintagey page, let's just get rid of some of that white so it doesn't stand out quite so much. So it's between him and him. I'm actually sort of, he's got more white in him, and so he is a little bit brighter, but I also love his yellow eye. So which one to go for? This is when I would really like you to help me. I think the thing is, I try not to cut out loads of stuff because then I spend all my time cutting and I'm not getting the video done. And I don't want to do that. I'm trying to show you how I go about finding and auditioning the pieces that I'm going to use. I mean, it's okay if I'm just sitting there fussy cutting anything out. Sometimes I'll do it, not very often, but when I do, like these, they're partially done, and birds are really easy to cut out, so I actually don't mind doing birds quite as much as some other things. It's like the flowers. Some of them are straightforward, but this one, there's lots of little bits at the end, and it becomes very bitty, and then you've got to choose what you cut and what you don't cut. So I think I'm going to go with Mr. Tawny Owl here. And I think I'm going to cut all of the white away that I don't need. There's still going to be a bit here because I'm not going to cut all that. It's just where they've faded out the photograph. But I like him the most, I think. He fills the page up enough that he doesn't take over the whole page. I can still use the flowers down here, or I could put them up there, depending on where I want to put him. So he can go anywhere along here. And it also, the reason I want him on this page is because it breaks this line up. But I still want to create an edge and some interest, you know. It gives me a nice shape going into, but I still want to see some of the ticket. So I think we're going to go with him. I'll cut him out properly now, and I'll be back, and then we'll see if there's anything else. We could use stamps, we could use stickers just to fill in those little pieces, and we'll see what we can find in them once I've done this. It's got to the point where I think that it's nearly ready to be stuck down, and I'll come back when I've decided where I've wanted it, and I'll tell you how I've decided that. Okay, I'll be back in a mo. So I'm not quite sure now whether I should have cut the little tiny border off, but taking the border off does actually help disguise the black lines, where with the border on you can see the black line coming off him. And I'm not quite sure whereabouts I'm going to put him, but I think I'm going to have him at the bottom. And he's kind of log seems to have, I did it in a bit of a wavy line, and it kind of suits this edge here. That's a bit, you know, that's just happens. I do quite like the $1.25 sticking out, so I might do it about here so that some of that sort of sticks out. And I think I'm going to put this over here, and it can go across the page. We'll kind of stick it in the crease, and then we'll find something to go over the stalk so it doesn't just look like it's floating in midair. And then we might do a few bits and pieces around the rest of the page. But generally we've got 1, 2, 3 main items, 4 the ticket, 5 background, this is 6, and then we can have a couple of little pieces, probably something up here, maybe something down here and here. I might put something underneath there, but I don't know whether it really matters that much. I think I'm going to cover her up, because we've got her, this one here and that one and that one. There isn't many of them sort of showing now. They're roughly how I want it, I think. So I'm going to stick most of him down as he is, but I'm going to leave his head flapping about. So I think I just do, I don't think I want to go in underneath under this, but I might want something up here that might just want to tuck under. So I'm going to glue all of this section down, probably to about there. I'm going to put all of that down, and I'm going to put all of that down, and then we'll find some stickers or whatever to complement the page. Obviously, this being a beginner's type of video, I just felt like you do need to see a little bit of gluing, because, you know, we all glue our own way. I didn't feel I needed to put him under there, so I don't particularly want to do that. I think I'm going to be mindful of where her head is, so I think I'm going to tip it away so that if I want to disguise this, I'm not going to be putting it over her head. So they're the considerations that I think actually what I might do is just tip it this way. I don't know. And maybe we'll have it straight. And I'm going to do that, I think. I think that seems quite a good idea. And then we don't have that problem at all then, do we? We'll put that out the way. I don't know whether I can get it all on this page so we don't go over. It's just that I wanted to disguise this bit a little bit. Let me just, I've lifted that now so I can tuck it under there if I want to. I think what I'm going to do is something like that. So that will help disguise this little bit here. I think that might be for the best. I can just sort of tweak it. Yeah, let's do that. So what I will do is I've got this in where I want it, and I'm just going to stick this whole leaf down so it goes where I want it to go. If I can get it to go underneath. I think I've got it a little bit close to the edge there, but never mind. Too late now. So this is out of a book, one of my big flower books, and so it's on quite thickish paper, and so I can actually crease this to go into that book crease spine, and I'll probably have to do the same with that one. I will stick it down, but you know, it can be a little bit, this is the trouble with how much you go over the edge of the spine. It just, so I'm gonna stick it a bit by bit, I think, because I'd like to make sure that each bit's stuck really well. And this is the benefit of art glitter glue, really. It does stick exceptionally well and very quickly, which is why I use it. But I do have other glues. I've got some Collage glue. I finally found, got some bottles to put it in, because I've got a great big massive bottle and it's just too big. I can't use it for doing this, it's just too bulky. The thing with gluing is you do it the way you want. A little bit by little bit is so much easier. See, now I can just work. That bit's all stuck, it's not going anywhere. All you need to make sure is it's gone into the crease before you stick it down on this page. I don't know whether I've got enough glue on that bit there. And the other thing I like about this glue is it doesn't actually stain. Where some leave a mark, you can see the edge of where it's been. If you, even though you've wiped it off, it leaves a stain, and that really bugs me, because I prefer to do it this way, and then you don't get that shiny bit around the edge once it's dry. I know it might say, oh yes, it dries clear, but it also leaves a stain, and this doesn't, which is why I like it so much. And this one's going over the page, so again I can tuck it in, make sure it doesn't get, and it will dry really quickly, so when you bend the book it won't pop off again. So I think that's pretty much down, and we won't need to put anything over that edge now, and we just need to put him down. I'm still going to leave him floating at the top, so I'm just going to stick him where I want him down here. There's a bit here, I want to cover that up. There's a bit of a line here which I sort of would like to see him, it just so happens that I can make a carried on line really, and it doesn't look like, I don't know, I'm just funny like that. I think I just moved it, but I can put him back in a minute. I'm not too worried by it. I'm going to go to about there, I think. So I can hold him there. And I can stick him down there. Oh, I've got a little bit of, maybe we can move him over a little bit. Just a bit. Right, so his tail's stuck, but his head's floating, his body's floating. So we're nearly there. So I just feel like we need something up here, and we can do that with various types of stickers, or maybe something that's, you know, fairly small but is also relevant to our page. Now I've given this what I would call an autumnal look. I suppose really he looks a bit crooked, but there we are, it's stuck now. Because of the orange is an autumnal kind of colour, and we've got the autumn leaves here, and so we could use something that is on those lines, and obviously have the orange or green in it, or, you know, just maybe carry the green over here a little bit so that it has some kind of cohesion really. I'm going to go and see what we can find, and I'll be right back when I found some stuff. So I found a lady sticker that really goes lovely. Her hat is orange, her dress outfit is green, and I did find some men, but the green wasn't right, and the brown coat guy, his trousers are grey, and I didn't want to introduce the grey to it again. I found my Stampy stickers. I keep them in these little boxes. So I found a rabbit, and I found a mushroom. I did find another mushroom, but I'm not quite sure if I want him on here at the moment. I don't know whether I really want anything under there at all. I can't see there's any point. I found some stamps. I thought this went quite nicely. It's got a little bit of green on it. I do like my stamps because I like numbers anyway. And then I found this mushroom, which I do like, and that's sort of orangey. So it's coming along, isn't it? Isn't it funny how just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, mainly stampy type of stuff, and I think actually just this alone would be finished. So I've went with the oranges and the greens, and that one's a brown obviously, and so it travels you round the page because the green and the oranges are intermingled everywhere. And I did bring out some washi tape, but to be honest, I'm not sure if I want to use them. This was a Tim Holtz one out of one of those design tape, as he calls it. It does have sort of orangey sort of flowers in it, but I'm not quite sure if I want to use it, and I don't like the orange stars. These are a bit too samey of the background colour, which I don't want. That one's a bit too wide because I don't really want a wide one. I could use that one. It's already had a little bit of discoloration from being in a bit of sunlight. Not sure if I want something breaking up this edge. Let me just see if I like it. Oh, no, it won't come up at all. I don't know whether that's supposed to be dark like that. Let's see if we can do something with it. I think this is just a cheap one, so I don't know how well it will stick. Let's strip it down the middle. Might work. I'll put it down there like that. Take this bit off. This is a bit darker, this one. I think maybe we should go across the top here. It'll kind of fill that gap in underneath there like that. Yeah, that'll be fine. I think that's all we need. Don't really want to use that bit. Might help we put it on straight. I'll probably need some glue behind them, but for now that'll be fine. I can glue that down after. So, what do you think? So these are stickers. I like the bunny rabbit, so I'll put the bunny rabbit down. And the stamps, obviously, I'll have to glue, and she's a sticker, and he needs finishing off gluing, and we are nearly there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it part on, part off, and I think I'd like those numbers still to show. These are usually pretty good stickers. I've got a feeling that is crooked, but never mind. Too late now. And we need this to go under here. Oh no, I don't want it going over the flower. A tiddly little bit like that won't hurt. And she needs to be fairly strategically placed, so these can be a little bit fiddly to get going. What I tend to do is I roll it off the backing, if you see what I mean. Once you get a little bit of an edge, I can hear it. Can you hear? I don't know whether you can hear that. Let me tweeze this out in a minute if it's not going to happen. I've got no nails. When I did my last video, I had false nails on. I don't know if you've watched it, my previous video with my challenge with my YouTube friends, Carrie and Tracy, and they have completely mucked up my nails. Right, so what I want to do is I want to go along this edge. Actually, I think I will get my tweezers out anyway, because I want to hold it in the right place before I stick it down. Plus, I'm not. So I need her to be, I want her feet to sort of show, but I don't want to get her off the page, and I don't want to see the line of the ticket. I think that is about right. You can just see a bit of a other foot there, and I suppose actually what I could have done was just inked her at the edges, but I'm not that bothered. Inking the edges don't bother me, to be fair. I just, if there's a white edge, there's a white edge, and we will stick Mr. Owly down, and the stamps, and that should be about it. I'm putting this, there's a little bit of a lump where that is, and I want to kind of cover up that corner a fraction, and it can go on the edge of the spine there. That's fine, doesn't matter that it's over the leaf, and this one's not on anything really, it's just going to be on the page. Is it straight? Probably not. No, I don't think it is. There we are, let's move it a little bit. So, I think that's all done. Yep. So we didn't pick up any golds here. I don't think it needs anything else, to be honest. I think we can call it done. What I do want to do is I'll get my glue, and I'm going to stick the washi tapes down because this one's already lifted. Will you come off? Yeah, thank you. I don't know which way around it was now. That'll do fine. This one isn't too bad. This one's not too bad. The thing is with this paper, if it's already stuck, it will just pull the paper up. So I don't want to lift it because the paper's like that. This washi tape actually tends to stick to vintage paper really well, and it just rips it. So once it's down, if it's staying down, I'd leave it alone. A bit of a tip for you there, because I've found out to my peril that I've just ripped a whole strip off. If it lifts up, I'll glue it. If it doesn't, I'll leave it alone. And the thing is with washi tape, if you burnish it down, it doesn't lift up anywhere near as much, because the burnishing process makes it really stick to what's underneath it. Right, what do you think then? I think that's come together really nicely. And so this is what I would call a vintage spread. It's not quite a busy collage that as I call them, but it's on the similar line really. It's getting that way. All we're doing is we've got 1, 2, 3 main elements. The ticket is probably a fourth element. That was I'd already put that on the page. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main elements on the page, and then whatever space is left, I mean, you can still see the background, but it's just there here and there, you know, and when you put it together, it's the placing and the spacing and, you know, the colour kind of. I didn't want the brown one there because he's brown. I needed an orangey one. I wanted a green one here because this is orange, you know, this is green, orange hat. I was trying to keep the hat off of here, but the green makes her stand out because she's on the orange. And that's how I kind of put it together. It's got a nice autumnal feel. Most of my collages work around colour. It's just the way I particularly work. There isn't always a theme, but there's nearly always a colour that I'm going with, or a couple of colours. In this case it ended up being green and orange with browns, and that's it. You know, you don't, 3 colours is probably as many as you need. Any more than that, then it starts to look a little bit messy, unless you're going full rainbow or something of that nature. Then, you know, 3 colours usually do it. And I hope that was helpful. So this is the end of my how to get started. I can't cover any more on how to get started, but other than doing it, just getting in there and give it a go. Use some of the tips and things. Well, I hope the series has been really helpful to you. I'm not going to do any more parts to this series. I'm very happy to answer comments below. If you want to ask me anything, then that's great. If I can answer them, I will. I really love it, and I've actually really enjoyed doing this, so it was really fun. That's about it for now, so hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe, keep well, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.